What's up, guys? So we are going to talk today about my latest 8-week fat loss phase. And if you follow me on Instagram and things, and you would have seen me doing all of this, but we're finished it. So I wanted to kind of get a recap of everything, what I did, what happened, how consistent I was, blah, blah, blah. And then finally end with how you can do it for yourself, how you can set up a calorie deficit for yourself if that's something you want to do. Okay, so let's get after it. So my goal was fat loss. Obviously, I wanted to maintain my muscle. That's my goal always. If you want to have like a toned look, then that means you want to lose fat and either maintain or build some muscle. So that way you can have that like tone defined look. That was my goal. So that's where we set off to do. And how my plan was, so 4 times a week of strength training, like hard, heavy, progressive overload, intense strength training sessions. My sessions were about like 45 to 60 minutes, just depending on how long it took me. And it was 2 upper body, 2 lower body days. Those strength workouts, I mean, I progressed them for the next 4 weeks, like the first 4 weeks and the second 4 weeks, but it stayed the same as far as quantity of exercises and workouts and blah, blah, blah. The one thing that did change, the variable that changed in my exercise programming, was the cardio. So for the first 4 weeks, I started with 30 minutes of cardio, and I chose to run a mile or do the elliptical or cycle or stair climb. I kind of just mixed it up a little bit. And that was just kind of what I chose to do. The second month, I did that twice. So 4 times a week of strength training workouts plus 2 separate 30-minute cardio sessions. Like I said, running, stair climber, elliptical, cycling, whatever I felt like doing that day. Whatever was just most convenient for me that day. My step goal was 10 to 12K, so I did increase that a little bit. Normally, I try to just get like 10K or 8 to 10K. I'm really happy, but I was pushing that extra like meat so I could get those extra calories. And then I put myself in a 20% calorie deficit. So my maintenance, and I know what my maintenance was because I spent, a while before that kind of figuring that out. I did 20%. So I just took my maintenance, 1950, and then I did times 0.20, and then that gave me like 380, I think, or 400 or something calories. I can't really remember the math right now, but then I just took that and subtracted it by the 1950, which gave me 1550, and I believe it was 1550. I have all my stuff in front of me too, just so we can chat. It was 1560 was my calorie goal. And then my protein goal was 100 to 130 grams of protein a day, just because, remember, we wanted to maintain all of the muscle mass, or even you get a little squeeze and build some if we could, but not highly likely because I was eating 1560 calories. And then what else? Oh, my consistency. So I didn't do that every single day. I didn't hit 1560 calories every single day for 60 days. Like, no. So we can look back, but I tracked every single day though. So I know where I was every single day, even if I was over, So total in the 60 days, there were 10 days, which is kind of weird that I hit exactly 10, that I was either over calories or just right above maintenance. Anything above maintenance, because I didn't hit 1550 exactly. I was at a range. So some days I would hit like 1400 to about like 1700. Anything within that range was considered a consistent day. I hit my calories day, because these are all ranges, guys. You don't have to hit it like 1560 exactly to the gram, to the calorie. It doesn't matter. So why would you kill yourself trying to do that? So yeah, as long as I hit my range from like 1450 to like 1750, I counted that as a hit, not a miss. So anything that went over that or over my maintenance, I counted as I was off track. And that was a total of 10 days. So between the 60. So that put me at like 82% consistent, 83% consistent. And I just think it's really, really, really important to mention that, because you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be 100% consistent for it to work. And after all of that, in the 8 weeks, I still lost like 9.5 pounds. I want to say 10, but I started at 134.8, and Sunday I literally weighed in at 125.0. So literally like 2 ounces. I could have hit 10 pounds, but anyways, not the point. And I still got all that progress. And another thing was I had a performance goal. I wanted to get 10 pull-ups. I nailed that easy, like 6 weeks in, really. So just like set performance goals first of all, but also, you know, if your goal is fat loss, you can't just ignore the scale at the same time and just say, oh, well, it's okay, I'm just retaining water. At some point you have to call yourself out and be like, okay, am I really retaining water? Because that's very possible. Or am I either not tracking at all, or am I just tracking what I want to track? And I'm not really tracking the bite I had over here, the snack I had over here, the 2 French fries I took from somebody's plate earlier, you know? So just be realistic with yourself. And like I said, there were some days, like this day I was at 2,300 calories. Like I went way over. And then where else was it? I know there were other days. Yeah, 2,200, 2,250, 2,000. That one wasn't that bad, but that was still a miss for me. So even if you don't hit everything, you have to be honest with yourself. So that way, when you get done, you don't end up frustrated. You end up with data, and you can seriously look at yourself and say, okay, this is why it went so well, or okay, this is why it didn't go as well as I wanted it to go. Anyways. So yeah, I just think it's very important to emphasize that I was off track for 10 days out of the 60. Moment of silence for, what's that word? You know, for like dramatic effects, moment of silence. 10 days that I just went off track, ate more calories, had more fun foods, had dessert, had drinks, whatever. I filled with those calories, okay? And it's just so important because, you know, you want to just say, screw it, when one day you just can't stick to your calorie goals or something. And it's like, it'll still work. You just have to keep going. You have to hop right back on. Yeah, obviously, if you stop, it's not going to work. Okay, this was not going to be long, so let's finish. So yeah, that was the overview of what I did, how I did it, the progress we got. My strength stayed pretty much the same. I actually got stronger on some lifts. We're really happy with that. And I'm really, honestly, just really proud of myself that I stuck to 1,500 calories, which was so hard for me, and that I tracked everything. I haven't tracked in years. When I say years, I mean like 6 years. I haven't put food in a food tracker, okay? So that was kind of huge for me. And then, okay, so how do you do this for yourself quickly? We'll spend the last few minutes. If you want to do this, first, I suggest you spend some time, like get a calorie counter tracker and spend some time just putting food in there. See where you're at right now. See on like a week, 2 weeks, spend a couple weeks doing that. There's no rush for this. If this is really going to be like a lifestyle change for you, it shouldn't bother you to, I don't want to waste a week. That's not wasting. You're gathering data, you're gathering information so that way you can be more successful. So spend a week or two, just MyFitnessPal, it's free, and just literally log everything that you're eating, weigh things, don't just eyeball them, weigh things, see what you're doing, see where you're sitting. And then you can go into just like any calorie counter really, and these are all estimates anyways, but go into any calorie counter, you can enter in your height, weight, age, gender, blah, 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 whatever, all that information. It's gonna spit out a like a maintenance, a total daily energy expenditure. That's what your body would need to just maintain it. And that's it, like not move the scale, not gain weight, but not lose weight. So you can take that number and it'll also do the calculations for you. I like to do them myself because I feel like some of the calculators sometimes are way aggressive. Like if I try to put myself in a calorie deficit, like to lose 1 pound a week on here, and actually I'll just do it right now just to show you. What it was going to spit out at me was going to be way lower than 1,500 calories, which there's no way. Yeah, it was going to have me at 1,350. No, thank you. So that's kind of why I do it on my own, because the calculators, I feel like, are just a little aggressive. And then you can just manipulate those numbers. So find the maintenance, it's a range anyways, find it. And then you can spend a couple weeks trying to track at that maintenance and see what happens. Do you gain weight? Do you lose weight? Do you stay the same? And then you can adjust from there. And then you can multiply like 15%. 20% is pretty aggressive, which is what I did. 25% is super aggressive. I wouldn't really recommend going over that. But if you want to start slow, you know, you could do like 10, 15% just to see how you do. Whatever, just pick a calorie deficit, okay, that you can realistically stick to, because you need to be able to stick to this for a little while for it to work. okay? A minimum, a very bare minimum, you need to be able to do it for 4 weeks, you know, and that's still what you get, you know what I mean? I think I lost like 4 pounds the first 4 weeks. So nothing spectacular is happening, you know, but you need to be able to stick with it so that way you can do another 4 weeks, and then you can do another 4 weeks, and then you can do, okay? Remember, there's no rush. What's your rush here, you know? Okay, so first of all, be realistic on what you can really do. Don't try and come out the gate hot. Figure out what your maintenance is, spend a few weeks tracking that, see how that works for you, see how you feel, see what your energy levels are like, and then also be realistic. Like, look at your calendar. Don't just throw in a bar. I want to do 4. I think 4 is good. And it's like, you haven't put any thought into that 4 time a week workouts that you want to do. You know what I mean? That's just what you want to do. That's what sounds good to you. So you need to actually look at your calendar and figure out, okay, I can squeeze 30 minutes in there. I can squeeze the 40 minutes there. I can, you know what I mean? And figure out how many you can actually realistically stick to. You can always add more. See how the first 4 weeks I only did 1 time of 30 minutes of cardio because I didn't want to do too much too soon and then end up doing overkill or overdoing it or whatever. So start slow. So look at your calendar, see what you can do. 2 times a week is still great, you know, and you have to give yourself a step goal as well. So this is going to be really, really important because your non-exercise activity actually makes up more of your calories burned than your dedicated workouts do. And people don't really realize that. I think they get so much juice out of the workouts when in reality, your progress is going to be determined on what you do the other 23 hours in the day, aside from that 1 hour you spend in the gym, you know? So make sure you can get to some kind of, see what your normal step goals are while you're figuring out your maintenance, while you're practicing tracking. You could be doing that too. See what you just normally get on a day-to-day. What does that look like for you? If it's 2,000, then you need to try to make a goal to hit like 4,000 for a little while. Once you're consistent there, go to 5, 6,000, and so on and so forth. You know, the goal obviously is to get anywhere between like 8 to 10K, but if you're hitting 2,000, to tell yourself that starting in 2 weeks when you go into a calorie deficit, you're gonna start hitting 10,000 is so unrealistic. It's unbelievable that anybody would even recommend that. But people do. So yeah, just be realistic on those numbers. And at the end of the day, if you're doing 2,000, although 4,000 doesn't seem like the recommended or like, oh, you should be doing 10, guess what? It's going to be progress for you because you were doing 2,000. So your body is going to respond to 4, okay? So yeah, just be realistic. And honestly, the last thing I really want to drive home is that if you have never spent time tracking food, practicing this, it is a habit. So you have to first spend time looking at what your maintenance is, learning how to track food, learning how to input it in whatever app you want to use. You have to spend time doing that because if you set yourself up this amazing program, okay, I'm gonna work out 2 times a week, I'm gonna start walking 4 times a week, I'm gonna hit, this is my new calorie goal, but you've never spent time ever inputting any data into a food tracker or weighing your food or measuring it or whatever, it's going to be way too much. It's going to be so overwhelming and you're not going to be able to successfully hit those numbers and hit every other metric that you're trying to hit. So you first need to just practice. Let me spend a couple of weeks just seeing what I do right now, because most importantly, most people have no idea even what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, you know? So spend time tracking. I feel like I covered it all. Remember, you do not have to be 100% consistent for this to work. I promise you. Honestly, I had progress at like 82% consistency, and I consider myself like an intermediate to advanced trainee. So somebody who's a brand new beginner would see results at like 70%, you know, which obviously I recommend you stay as consistent as possible while giving yourself a little bit of grace here. But, you know, that I just say that just to the importance of don't quit when you have a bad day or a bad 2 days or even a bad week, you know, because in the grand scheme of things, if you hop right back on track and the 3 weeks after that you crush it, then guess what? Overall that week, that month, you were still 80% consistent, you know? So, okay, I didn't want to ramble. This is 15 minutes. Okay. If you have any questions about this or if you want help on how to set this up or if I missed something, let me know. Okay, bye. Every time, so embarrassing. Are you joking? Okay.